Today I wanted to go over a couple new additions to my electrical drawers here. If you saw my toolbox tour, you've seen a lot of this stuff already, but the two new additions I have over here is this iCrimp ratcheting crimper and the Wagner heater for heat shrink. And I really like both of these items, so we're gonna go over them a little more in depth. Let's head on over to the bench and take a closer look. All right, so this is not my first ratcheting crimper. Previously, I had been using this one, which also came with multiple different dies. I like this iCrimp one much better over, I don't even know what name brand this thing is, but there's a bunch of reasons. One, it's just overall better build quality. The handles are much nicer. The fit and finish is a lot better. Number two is just the way you change these dies. You need to use a screwdriver on this set. And on this set, they're just quick releases. You press in there and they'll pop right out just like that. So it's much easier to change dies on them. Now I usually am crimping non-insulated terminals, so I'm gonna be using this die, and they just pop right back in just like that. And the nice thing with this kind of crimper is it makes a factory quality crimp. Another tool for crimping that I really like is this Doyle. And of course, Doyle is a knockoff of probably Klein. In this case, they also make one just like this. But this is good as well for making really close to factory quality crimps. And the benefit of this one is sometimes you can get it into positions and areas that this one isn't going to fit into. But let me show you a couple of crimps using both of these tools. So here I just have a piece of 18 gauge wire, I think, stripped, and then I have these two really cheap female spade connectors here. I'm going to crimp these on with each tool, and then I place the connector into the jaw, into the die, with just light pressure to hold it, just like this. And then you would just place the wire in. You confirm it's in position on the other side, and then you just send it. This is what you're left with. Look at that crimp. That is beautiful. So that's how this crimper works. And of course there's other dies for it. So you can do insulated, heat shrink insulated, non-insulated. And then there's other connectors as well, like ring terminals, and I'm not sure what the other one's called, where it crimps it into a square with little ridges, but it does all those things. But now let me show you this one. This one does almost as good of a job. Not quite. I get it set into the part that's actually going to crimp on the wire first in this manner. Let's see if we can get a view of where this is positioned. So it's just crimping the front and not the back, and then I get the wire placed in there, and I fold them down just like that. Now they're not all the way set, so this is where I actually turn the tool around then, and then use the other side, actually press in on that spot. Then you're left with that. And then you just basically do that same thing for the back portion. Get them started to be folded over, flip the tool around, and set them. And it does, I think I over crimped that one. It does a good job, but as you can tell, you're a little more prone to user error. I think I overset that one. Whereas the crimp tool just does a beautiful factory looking job every time. And you can get that with this. It's just, you have to be more careful because you're doing it all manually. But like I said, this can get into a lot of spots you might not be able to get into with the crimp tool. And the last thing I wanted to show is this Wagner Heat Gun that I'm going to be using for doing my heat shrink from now on. I'm sure we've all used a lighter in the past, and I've definitely done that multiple times myself, but this is the proper tool for the job, and it works really, really well. Having this heat shield on, it does basically both sides at the same time. It has a little kick out stand so you can set it up on your table like that. And then there is a high and low setting. I think I'm going to enjoy using that tool as well. Alright, now if I can get on my podium, since we're talking about electrical connections, one thing I see these all the time on YouTube, these soldered splice kits, and you do not want to use these. You do not want to use any type of soldered connection to make a wire-to-wire connection. Solder is the best way to connect a wire to a PCB, but it is not the best way to connect a wire to a wire or to put a terminal on the end of a wire. Crimp connection is far superior in pretty much every way to a soldered connection, and that's what you want to use. And I'll put sources for that information. Engineers have figured this out a long time ago. Crimp connections are better than soldered connections wire to wire. And I'm going to link a video where I found out about these. He actually talks about crimp connections over soldered connections as well in that video. And then these heat shrink kit, which I really like because of the adhesive. So when you heat shrink these, it self-seals. Watertight seal, water is not getting in there when you have it adhesive lined or marine grade heat shrink. So those are the only other two things that I thought might be worth mentioning in this video. I have a lot more tool videos coming up down the line. I've been buying tools like crazy. So thank you for watching, and you all have a nice day.